Ladies, gentlemen, and all those that lie in between, are you ready to rumble? In one corner, we have Bjorn, Viksid, and the new King Olaf. In the other corner, we have the one, the only, the maniac himself, Ivar the Boundless. So next episode is going to be the epic showdown between Ivar and Bjorn we've been waiting for all season. Now we've reached episode 19, all of the plotline in England seems to be resolved. It seemed like that episode was almost a finale for Ubbe's storyline, and this episode will be the finale for Bjorn and Ivar's. Ubbe created Ragnar's dream and realized it, stabilized it, and will now rule it. Alfred and his reign were both tested immensely, and finally stabilized with the death of his brother and his mother. Lagertha was tested emotionally and physically with Hickman and Ragnar, but came out at the end. So while England has everything resolved and this bright new future in front of it, the old world falls to pieces. So last episode, Ivar's scouts found Bjorn and Viksid's forces and knows that they're together. He's prepared his defenses, built up his gates, and is ready for them to attack. I really can't wait until we get that scene of Ivar up on the wall saying, "Welcome home, brother, welcome home." One thing I did notice is that we didn't actually get to see any of Harald with Bjorn here. In the previous episode, I predicted they would have a falling out from that fight and probably split, but neither one would die. All of this time, they've built up this three-way love triangle to be the thing that pulls them apart, but really, they flipped the script on us, and they made it so she actually brought them together. So it's possible that Harald is actually part of this fight helping Bjorn, because this isn't really one cut-up of the whole episode showing us bits from everywhere. This preview is rather one long shot from the middle of the episode. They often do this when the central theme of a whole episode will be a battle, and it showing too much would really just spoil it. So three questions come to mind. Is Harald actually going to stay with Bjorn? This girl does seem to have Harald around her finger, so that could be likely. 2, will we actually get any of the English storyline? It's possible that they're kind of done with that for the entire season. It was a nice place to end. It's possible we only get Iceland and Kattegat fight scene for all of this episode. Now I don't know that because they're not showing us anything apart from the scene, but it could be something they do. And finally, of course, what the result of the battle will actually be. We have so many conflicting motives here. King Olaf has his own reasons for trying to fight Ivar and take his kingdom. Harald wants it for his own ambition, Bjorn wants to take down Ivar and restore his family honor, Viksid has his weird spiritual reasons and his kind of destiny fate thing, as well as we have Freydis inside who's kind of hating Ivar now and what he actually will do himself. There are so many creative ways Vikings can take this. We can have a betrayal on Freydis' behalf, we can have betrayal with Harald, we can have betrayal with this King Olaf. So much potential for good old Norse backstabbing and revenge. So with the battle approaching, the motivation's clear, and the players in place, here's my 2 cents for how I think this possibly could go down. Even though Freydis really hates Ivar right now and loathes what he did to their son, she has nowhere else to go, and backstabbing him doesn't seem like a smart option. She'll be more careful and fierce as ever from this moving forward, but she will stay with Ivar, which I'm sure the Ivar fans will loathe. I don't think King Olaf has the backbone, as we saw in that previous episode, to actually make any decisions on his own. He's very cautious and uncertain, so it will really be Viksid making the shot calls, and I doubt we'll get a betrayal from him. Harald will make at least one play to try and have Bjorn killed off in the fray of the fighting, as well as probably try and go to Grenhild and get her to go with him or something. Ivar will have tons of tricks up his sleeve, ready for Bjorn's army. He'll tactically outplay him for all of the beginning of the fight. Just look how ineffective this ram was against his gate, like they did nothing to that. They men are getting absolutely destroyed by arrows, Ivar's just laughing it up, and everything just seems to be going his way. But Bjorn does have the numbers on his side, and he may just overwhelm him with pure force. Whether it's some sympathizers opening up a gate for him from the inside, or something that Viksid has up his sleeve to really turn the tides. So we may see the tables turned and Ivar out of Kattegat on the run, ready to rebuild his forces again. And Kattegat will be left with this odd mix of people who just really come from different places with everyone's goals conflicting, and they'll have to sort that out, probably in a violent way. I doubt Vikings will make the entirety of this battle all just scene after scene of this fighting. They may intercut this with scenes of Floki trapped under rubble, or they'll play with the time again, cutting from shots before the fight with just talking about things and negotiating things with the actual fighting that's happening in the present. It really depends where Vikings wants to leave us at the end of the season. Do they want to leave us hanging with Floki trapped under rubble in an exploding volcano? Do they want to have the English plotline resolved there and the people walking away and saying goodbye being the last shot of the season? How much dialogue do they really want to have before the battle, or would they rather have the battle in the beginning and have all the cleanup and fighting and betrayal that will happen after the battle in this episode rather than next season? And of course they could have a very big character death. This episode is called Ragnarok, so dark things are really ahead for the storyline. If they do kill off a major character, we may have a lot of flashbacks and internal monologue between people thinking of that character and the past they had and their entire storyline, very much a big farewell that we might have for most of the episode while we intercut with the present stuff. So now, my friends, we get to do the funnest part of covering a preview for a finale. That's dumpster diving previous trailers to find any footage we have not seen. All of those quick snapshots that flew by that we couldn't interpret because we didn't know what the context was around them and we didn't know where in the season would lie. But now they all have to be placed this episode. First off, let's look at all the things I think could be Vixerd. So clearly we have him here. He's wearing the blue triangle paint around his face and this kind of outfit. He's up in some kind of wood raised area on the wall, presumably. Now we get 3 other shots of what seems to be someone scaling the wall. The first one has similar clothing and similar hairstyle and cut together to make it look like it was Vixerd the whole way. This could just be his body double, and because I took a screenshot it just makes it very obvious that it's not Vixerd, where if it was just a fluid motion we wouldn't really notice. Then we see him at the top of the wall with 2 shots of him swinging his sword. Now the person climbing the wall didn't look exactly like Vixerd, and the person at the top looks like it could be possibly a female. From the shot, we can see the blue paint, we can see the similar hairstyle and the studded leather guard, so it could be that Vixerd just looks like he's a little bit more feminine, but I don't know. And then finally, we have the shot of a person lying on the ground, either dead or incapacitated. We see the blue paint, the costume's a little bit faded and blurred so we can't really tell. We can see the armband of a Viking warrior, but everyone will be wearing those in this battle so it doesn't really narrow it down. Similar hairstyle, but yet again it looks a little bit more feminine. But maybe that's just me, so if you disagree and think it's clearly Vixerd or clearly not, tell me below. Then of course we have a bunch of shots of Bjorn yelling and fighting and staring people down, and one shot of his face fully zoomed in with a blurry background of dead bodies, blood all over his face. It looks near the end of the battle, and he has that kind of face we see when someone else is watching someone dying. Kind of like Lagertha when Heckman was dying. He kind of zones out of the whole battle, he goes into this very dreamy state, and they just kind of stop. Perhaps something in the battle was not going their way and Ivar's taking the high ground. Or perhaps he could be seeing someone he really, really loves dying, like Brynhild. Vikings could, yet again, give Bjorn another tragic love story. And of course we have Ivar cackling up on the wall every single time he sees soldiers getting shot down by arrows or releasing his traps on them, anything to try and get inside the head of Bjorn. So maybe Ivar finds out that Brynhild is his weakness and aims for her. Maybe Harald confronts her to try and make a choice, and she chooses Bjorn, and he kills her in anger. Again, we see Vikings having so many options ahead of them, so much things that could go down as the world falls into chaos and Ragnarok. So that's all my thoughts and excitement for the upcoming episode. The finale is going to be so good. Remember to tell me all your wildest theories about the next episode. Was it actually Vixerd? What's going to happen with Bjorn? Will Ivar win or not? There's so much up in the air, so much on stake. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. And don't forget to grab your trusty battle axe and smash the living shit out of that like button. Skull.